What does it cost if you want to start your own salon / nail business? This is going to go in a couple different directions, but we're going to dive into this right now on the Biz Talk. Tracey, I'd like to start my own salon, and I'd like you to pay for all of it. And I'd like you to do everything, do the nails, the decoration, and I just want my profit. I think it's a good business deal for you. And all you got to do is just name it after me. Just call it Habib's Salon.
Jerk Salon. Got a ring to it.
Dude, that has a ring. I think that'll do really, really well.
I'm the CEO, nail salon.
Dude, nail salon.
But they gotta read it like that. And if they don't read it, they're not allowed in.
Yeah, get out. Just slam the door in their
first
face.
Thing. How did you read that sign? They don't say it right.
Say my name. Say my name. No, wrong. Just kick them out.
Exactly.
God, that reminds me of just really quick an aside story. I remember this was like early in our young nails. We had an employee, and it just didn't work out. It's like one of our early employees, and she was doing some accounting stuff and just some random stuff, and I had to let her go because things weren't going well.
Okay.
You know, and it's like had to like walk her out and just like, this is not, and she was still kind of confused and like I just out the door, and then I just closed the door. It was the most awkward thing ever. And I was just like, we were so broke back then and could barely afford anything. And, you know, we tried to hire people and it didn't work out, and like had to let them go. And sometimes because of them, sometimes because of, you know,
finances.
we couldn't afford it. You know, we were just didn't have any money.
You could stay.
She's not going to get paid.
If you like that paycheck thing, it's not the job for you.
Yeah, exactly. So, talking about starting up, you know, business is the beginning, starting up your own salon. So what does that look like in terms of cost? This is such a great topic because there's so many directions you can go with this. I think we start with, you know, like, okay, let's talk about a salon. So not just I'm a nail tech and I want to get started in the nail business, but salon. I want a location. I want multiple desks. I want, you know, so on and so forth. What are we looking at there, Trace? That's not going to be cheap.
Do we have a stand?
Do we have a what?
A stand.
Oh, what she means is, does somebody have a husband that can do all the work for free?
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm going to say no.
Oh, that's going to cost you.
So, like, okay, first of all, let's get down. Let's to the basics, right? Location. So there's rent, there's lease, there's deposit. You know, most commercial properties are going to do, you know, 3 to 5 year lease. I don't know a lot that do 12-month leases.
Not on these kind of situations because your tenant improvements are quite drastic.
Exactly. So I would probably even push in this situation, it's going to be 5, you know, maybe a 5-year lease.
Typically, yeah.
And they, you know, they want a deposit. They want usually deposit first month's, last month's. You're looking at 3 or 4 months of rent in the beginning outlay of cash. Depending on where you live. If it's in Los Angeles, that's a lot because leases in LA are expensive.
Oh
but,
my God, yeah.
You know, depending on where you're at, but just, I think we go 3-4 months of rent is probably a starting point of what you have to outlay and just cash there.
Yep. Then you have your TIs, which is your tenant improvements.
Exactly.
So, you know, usually you're just getting a shell, or maybe it was a former business, so now we have to redo. That requires drafting, right? We have to make sure that structurally it's going to be sound. We have to turn things into the city. If you're doing hair, you actually have a water. Each bowl requires a certain permit for the water, and that could be actually very expensive. I've seen it range from like 5,000 range.
Wow.
Yeah, it depends. So typically, if you're fortunate enough finding a place that was already a salon, you're going to be ahead of the game.
You're going to be ahead of the game, totally.
So you have all that. Then, you know, sometimes the tenant improvements, you can kind of negotiate with the person that is leasing it out.
Right.
Sometimes they'll takes some of that cost. Sometimes you can find someone that'll do it all, but that's not typical because, so if you can get them to pay for half, that would be great.
So what are some examples for, let's talk nail salon. What are some tenant improvements that, like, the basics? Let's just talk about the basics. Let's just say, okay, look, I'm going to outlay cash. I just want the basics. I want a clean place. I can, improve it more and more over time, but I just want to get in and start getting this going. What are we looking at? Like, not money, but because that's going to differ where you live, what area you're in, what contractor you use. So, but I think we talk about what things need to be done, like floor, you need furniture.
So you have furniture, plumbing. There's
for
pedicures, and there's regulations about plumbing as far as being available for hand washing.
Sure.
Depends how many people you have as booth renters or how many stations you're going to have. Also depends on the plumbing situation. Are you required to have a handicap?
Oh yeah, ADA. That's right.
Thank you.
That's yes.
Bathroom, ADA.
Totally.
A lot of times people don't think about that. You get into a situation, you're renting a place, and all of a sudden now the city wants you to do all the ADA improvements, which is very expensive. So you have that. Are you sectioning off walls for pedicure rooms?
Right.
Your space, typically, like, I put walls up, a couple walls up. So things like that. Flooring, like you said, and all the furniture. Yeah.
So like you're looking at, okay, let's say floors, let's say paint, furniture, ventilation. You need to look at the current ventilation situation. Are you doing acrylic? Are you doing gel poly? Like, if you're doing acrylic, you definitely got to look into ventilation as well. Putting up walls, plumbing, like you're saying, ADA compliance is huge.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have that as well. And that's just to get your place up to par, right?
To get the door open.
To get the door open. So then now you're looking at, let's just, I don't know why I have this in my head, but I'm looking at like 4 stations, let's say.
Okay.
So you need 4 stations. You need product for those services. So you got to contact manufacturer and let them know you're opening a new salon. I need 4 stations. I need enough product. You have to invest in products, which
are you doing booth rent? Are you fully staffing? So
commission.
Then, commissioned, and you're exactly right. Got to have all the product ready for people.
Yeah.
You have to have the employees. Are you doing reception? Then if you're talking employees, you got to look at your taxes. Got to make sure that you're doing your payroll correctly. All that.
Correct. So, and I hope it doesn't sound like, we're trying to discourage you. That's not.
I did it, so it's not that hard.
Yeah.
If I did it, it's not that hard.
Well, I think it's the reality of opening up a salon. To be honest with you, the reality of opening up any business, there are so many things that you have to do and so many regulations that you have to be aware of, city regs, rules and regs that you need to be aware of.
Exactly. Because you don't want to get caught. Just like the ADA thing, you don't want to get, I've seen it happen to people.
Yeah.
So, just be aware of it. The simples, if you're doing hair, a lot of people aren't aware of the fees that go along with that. So being aware of it. And that also gives you more information to go, hey, can I find a salon that is, selling?
Yeah.
Because sometimes they'll be selling, like, you're like, that's not worth their name for that kind of, money. But it's not really the name you're paying for. You're paying for all the fees and permits that they've already done.
A good thing to do would be to go to your city and let them know, hey, I'm looking to open up a nail salon in the city. I'm looking at this area. What do I need to, what are the codes, or what do I have to be aware of if I'm going to open this up? And I'm sure they've got some documentation or something that you can read through to help you along the way there as well.
A lot of them are very helpful.
Yeah.
Some aren't, but you can usually find a lot of information out there.
Yeah. And even online as well.
Yeah.
But our method, I do not recommend this to anybody. But, the young nails method, like how we got started, is you jump in and then you figure it out later, and that was that was how we learned was, we had, and that's why I'm saying I don't want this to sound discouraging. It's the realities of it. A lot of time people start businesses and they have no idea how much like runaround there is. And you have to deal with the city and you have to make sure everything it's so much.
There was stuff that didn't even realize, like just naming your place, having to get, you have to put an ad out in a paper, which you still have to do, which is weird.
Fictitious business name and
just little things like that I just never even thought about it. I just name my business, put a sign up, we're good. No, can't do that.
There's so many hoops that you have to jump through just to get yourself running. And dealing with a lot of that, minute, like just boring details that you have to go through to get your business up and running, it can wear on people.
It can. And that's why I always recommend like write everything down that you need.
Yeah, it's good.
And then just check them off as you go. And don't give yourself a reasonable timeline, because if you're like, I'm doing this next month, no you're not. You're not. It takes some time. Give yourself some time to do it, and just make sure that you check off each box. That way when your doors open, right down to like, you have to have an establishment license through, so it's not just the city you're dealing with state board, also, that what their requirements are, the signage that they require up.
That's right.
That's ugly. Could we do something about that? Could you guys just make it prettier so we can put it up and like what it looks like? But yeah, I just wrote myself down everything that I needed to do, and then I just started checking it off.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. I've said this often, like if I actually knew, if I knew ahead of time the pains and all that's the stuff that needed to be done in building a business, probably wouldn't have done it. Most things in my life, if I knew all the details, I might not have done it. I probably still would have, because I'm kind of crazy like that. But that's why I'm saying we're not telling you this to discourage you, but just give you a dose of reality so that you don't think it's a walk in the park, and there's so much more to it. You know what I mean? That's just to open your doors. Now let's talk about getting your business successful and building a business and actually getting customers in the door. That's a whole separate thing as well. But as far as cost, like what does that run? That's why I'm not putting like a hard numbers, because it really depends on where you live, what city you're in. Like, you want to do this in Los Angeles, you need probably hundreds of thousands of dollars to open up a salon. Seriously, to open up a salon, and you're hiring a contractor and dude, the rent in LA is so insane. It is crazy town. So, and then versus a small town, somewhere where you can, it's totally reasonable. And, maybe, I don't know, 20, 30, 40K might be enough. I don't know.
Would you like to know how much it cost me?
You don't count. Okay. You have Stan.
I have Stan.
Yeah. That's a massive portion of the cost, is like you have your own built-in. Even when Tracey, moved down to Southern California, she bought a home, they did all the renovations themselves. I'm like, that's not fair. Like, you have your own built-in, construction company. That's not normal.
I like it.
Of course you like it. You don't count.
Aww.
Okay? You don't count. And the reality is it's going to cost you, it's going to cost a lot to start a salon.
It's going to cost more than you plan.
Yeah.
It always does.
Yeah.
And then, guys, this is the one thing that I see all the time. Don't go crazy. There are amazing places like IKEA,
man.
Furniture warehouses, things like that you can make the coolest salon.
Yeah.
Very reasonable.
Totally.
And what I see is people are like spending, $500-$600 for each table, and they're like, and I always say double what you think it's going to cost.
Yeah.
And so you're kind of just throwing money away at that point.
Even, that's such a great point. We do that here, just so you know. Like, Tracy, when she's like, we're like, hey, Trace, I want this room to look like that. I mean, she's so cost conscious, and like we go to IKEA. It's good stuff. But if you want to know how much you need, you got to go to your city. You got to find out, what the requirements are, what all those licensing fees are, state board is. And then you need to like say, okay, I want to do this and I want to get a budget going, and I need to start estimating how much it's going to cost to do the walls, to do the floors, to bring in furniture for this. You got to start putting a budget together. Yeah. You got to build a budget and then see, okay, this is going to cost me $15K, or, and then lease, that's going to cost me another, I got to put down 3 months and blah, blah, blah. It's another 10K, whatever it is. Yeah. You have to build that budget out. And then you look at product costs, and then you look at employees. If you're starting as an independent, as a booth renter, like you're just an individual nail tech and you're looking to start a business, that's completely different. Right. Like, you need a desk, you need products, you need a room. Like that's actually, I think, is pretty reasonable.
It is reasonable. And again, there are certain things you still need. You still need your, your own business name. You still need your,
those things,
all those different things. But it is way more reasonable than opening an entire salon up.
Depending on where you live, I think with maybe $5K, you could probably get, you can get a room, because those are weekly, right?
Weekly.
Yeah.
Here, different, like Reading, it was monthly.
It was monthly, okay.
Here, almost everybody I talk to, it's weekly.
It's weekly, yeah. So you might be able to at least get product, a room, maybe all of but that's not counting schooling. So you have to look at schooling too. I'm talking about after depending on where you go to school, it could be inexpensive or it could be insanely expensive. We recommend inexpensive. But I don't know, it depends on where you live, but maybe for 5 or 10K, you could probably start your own, I think.
Well, $5K is what I spent on my whole salon. So
again, you do not count. Tracy had to get that in there. Did you notice that?
I did. It's $5K. I love Stan.
Yeah.
He's a good guy.
People don't, if you have a
but
Stan.
you don't have to have a contractor for doing your own little setup. So I don't think the rent, because, well, let's see. Let me think. I think you can do it for $2,000.
If you're yourself,
yeah,
as an but nail products. It
depends where you're going.
But nail products too. I mean, what are you going to get for? I mean,
right, like a full setup. Yeah, I get
full.
Like if you're,
you're going to dump some money there.
You're going to dump some money there. Yeah. I'm not even thinking of like product wise too. Yeah. You're probably right.
Probably around $5K.
Probably.
And if you're a salon, you're not spending $5K. I'm just telling you that right now, okay? Because in contractor fees alone, and oh my God, like that is where the majority. Honestly, that's where the majority of the cost is probably going to come in, is in the tenant improvements and lease, and it depends on where you live.
And again, the one other thing that I will say, check your zoning too.
Oh yeah,
because a lot of your lease. Landlords or whatever you call them may not know, but some places aren't zoned for certain things.
Oh yeah, you're right.
So you might be like, I'm going to have microblading. There's places that it's not, they consider it like tattooing. It's not zoned for that. So check your zoning too.
Yeah, super important. So I hope that gives you an idea. I mean, we're not giving you an exact amount. It's impossible to do based on every area is so different. But the big point of this is get yourself a Stan. Okay. And that way it doesn't matter. You can rent Stan out. Exactly. Tracy's renting him out. She's only going to charge $5,000 and he'll do everything for you. Let us know in the comments below what it costs you to get started, whether it's a salon or you as an individual. We'd love to know, and others would too, if you can share that. And also any ideas you have for future episodes or questions, let us know in the comments below and we'll address them. Thank you so much, Tracy.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time on the Biz Talk.